Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel again. Can you guys actually hear me right now? Okay, guys. So today I'm going to continue with the reaction to Candace Owens, okay? Because she actually kind of like uh exposing, investigating all this stuff right here for Charlie Kirk's assassination. So she has good points, and she is not like bought by someone else. So it's very important if we need the true person right here, like the genuine person. So let us try to, I'll react to it, okay, right now. So let's go, guys. So first of all, about this episode of Candace Owens is about the Charlie Kirk expressed concerns about TPUSA finances, and this is the 243 episode. And actually, I've watched like perhaps half of this episode, and I would like to continue watching for the parts that I've missed. Apparently, I missed the front part. Okay, so let's start by watching this video. Okay, let's go. Okay, hold on. Let me check. Everything is all right here. If I have some audio issue, just let me know, okay? Let's go.
All right, you guys. So a week before Charlie lost his life, he expressed some concerns about the finances at Turning Point USA. In fact, he wanted to put together an entire department, a little mini department, to address those concerns, and we have evidence of that. It is always the advice when investigating any crime to, quote unquote, follow the money. So let's do that just a little bit here. Plus, there is a video that has gone absolutely viral. I am sure you have seen it. It was emailed to me many times, where there is a theory that is being floated that Charlie was shot from the back. Now, there are two aspects in that video that we can debunk, and I want to do that. And there's one aspect that we cannot debunk clearly. I think this is a worldwide investigation, so I want to assist wherever it is that I can. So welcome back to Candace. There's a lot of leaking going on right now, and I've been very clear that everything in my soul has been screaming at me from the very moment that I found out that Charlie got shot, that this story is much bigger, that there just was something much bigger going on than what has thus far been presented to the public. You know, all of the wrong people are eulogizing him. They're lying about small things, which I don't like. Because why lie about small things? Only a guilty conscience of sorts lies about little things. And there are a few points that we have covered throughout the story that right away jumped out at me as odd. First and foremost, of course, Bibi Netanyahu over-inserting himself, not even just on day one, minute one. He tweeted before the president of the United States that Charlie had lost his life. That's weird. It's very weird, and we should not forget how weird that is. Especially because when he went on multiple hits doing Fox News and Greta Van Sustern's show, he lied about the contents of a letter that Charlie Kirk had written him back in May. What I also don't like are the people like Josh Hammer and Seth Dillon, people that I know who are very nasty and work behind the scenes.
Okay, about Josh and Seth, I have to do research on them because I don't know who they are, but I definitely know who is Netanyahu. So regarding Benjamin Netanyahu, it's about when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and he was so quick that he got up on Fox News and got interviewed, and he kind of addressed about the letter that Charlie Kirk wrote to him, you know, back in, I don't know, May, I guess. I'm not too sure, but it's quite quite recent. It's quite recent. Yeah, so I have to do research about Seth and Josh. And about the letter, Candace felt that it's weird. Like, once Charlie was assassinated, he was so quick, so swift guard himself on Fox News and address his how he felt, on Charlie Kirk's death. So, and she said this is quite sketchy, So let's continue.
I don't like that they have not yet been honest or forthcoming about the pressure that they and others were putting on Charlie Kirk. That just strikes me as odd. There's no reason to lie. No reason to pretend that you weren't doing that, to try to massage it and lie about it. I believe that there are lies by omission, and I view them both to be liars, okay? And of course, who could forget the word length of Bill Ackman's reply? I tell you guys about this weekend in the Hamptons. I tell you about Bibi Netanyahu calling Charlie Kirk and inviting him to Israel. And Bill Ackman replies with an essay, a college essay, 959 words to be precise, was his response to me speaking about that, where he himself did not actually address my point about the quote unquote intervention, which is how Charlie described it himself, and my point about Bibi Netanyahu and the offer to take Turning Point to the next level financially. No one wants to address those points because I was being honest. People thought that Charlie's
All right, this part, it's pretty making sense because, again, Candace literally asked people question, perhaps asking question to this Bill Ackman. But the thing is, like, all these guys, when she asked the questions, these guys will just take a long circle round and round and round again, and at the end, it's still not answered. So that's the thing about it. Like, what happened? What happened? Like, are you hiding something? Charlie Kirk was her best friend, like one of her best friends. When your best friend has something happen, it's terrible, and you feel it. You feel it. You know why they are so sketchy. Why they are hiding all these stuffs, why they're not telling, because perhaps they did something wrong and they didn't want to be exposed. Come on, let's go.
ideas were trending in the wrong direction. And by the way, regarding that now infamous weekend, the response videos that were made, which seemed like there was some sort of a PR crisis going on, the response tweets that were fashioned, they were sort of getting funny. Xavier DeRusso was there. I had reached out to him. He had, rather than answering me, messaged me to say, I am speaking out about that weekend. He made a video where he formally addressed the weekend and explained that, yes, Charlie, and he uses the phrase moral blackmail. Charlie spoke about feeling morally blackmailed, but this was done in
morally blackmailed. He felt morally blackmailed. Like, nowadays, I'm telling you guys, the world is so crazy that wrong thing can be done in a good way. Good way, good way. It feels good. It looks good. It looks nice. That's what devil is all about. They disguise as good things. They disguise as comfortable thing. They disguise as soothing stuffs. It's crazy. You guys have to know. Like, it's not about when you feel this feel this thing is so good towards you, and you feel it's a good one. No, come on.
in more of a workshop setting, essentially like it was a debate club and they were strengthening their debates, feeling morally blackmailed. But this was done in more of a workshop setting, essentially like it was a debate club and they were strengthening their debates on the topic of Israel. We can take a listen to Xavier DeRusso in his own words.
And I shared with my wife, and then I said, hey, come on, you just Just look lah. Video.
And then people are taking things out of context because there was like in the article, the hit piece that came out, it talks about how Charlie raised up his phone and had written on Twitter, and he said something like, BB needs to resign or something like that. And he goes, what would happen if I do this? There was discourse, and then there was one woman who sat in the back who said, if you do that, you're indirectly going to empower Hamas. And then Charlie was like, see, you have to stop saying like that. He was saying that when you are debating about Israel, you need to stop doing it emotionally. You need to do it logically and factually. Otherwise, you lose the debate. He said it is moral blackmail if you say that somebody saying that a politician is bad, that you're then empowering a terrorist organization. Fair argument.
Okay.
It was a fair argument, but it also was a real argument. And you kind of removed the names that were involved in this conversation. Natasha Hausdorff was there. Seth Dillon was there. And Seth Dillon was the one that was applying pressure to him. And Seth Dillon and Josh Hammer didn't jump on him in that moment. Were not happy. They were not happy with Charlie at the end of this weekend in the Hamptons because, again, they saw which way the wind was traveling.
Yeah, about Hamptons. There was something happening in Hamptons, but I still haven't checked out what was the event yet. Apparently it's about the event that Charlie Kirk attended, and there was something happening between someone with Charlie or some entity, with Charlie. Let's go.
In terms of his positions on Bibi Netanyahu and Israel. And they were, in fact, being accusatory. And again, you don't have to take it in my words or Xavier's words. I've always had a friendly relationship with Xavier, but we should listen to Charlie's own words, which we have played multiple times, of what happened the day after this little weekend retreat, where he vented to Megyn Kelly his frustrations with him being wrongly labeled anti-Semitic and how it was actually pushing him away and it wasn't good for Israel. Then, one of the big questions that we discovered, or that we asked, and something that we had discovered, was that this weekend was kept hush-hush, which is extraordinarily unusual for a Turning Point event. If you're going to fly your influencers out, you want them to influence, obviously. And Xavier offered this explanation for why they didn't post about the weekend until they were rumbled about the weekend. Take a listen.
And then you have the people who are trying to go and say that, oh, then why was the meeting so secretive? The photos were already on my Instagram. The reason we didn't post that in the real time was because of safety. Do you know how many people would have loved to come and slaughter that whole hotel?
Feeling like Justin Bieber because it's not clocking for me. I'm sorry. So first off, you guys never connected to Turning Point USA publicly. The photos that you posted, if you posted it after the event, I don't think that it's because you were fearful that just being a conservative in the Hamptons was going to get you slaughtered, like were there Hamas tunnels under the Hamptons? That doesn't make sense. That makes entirely no sense. And we should call out how little sense that makes, especially because one of the influencers did post on August 6th that she was in the Hamptons. Actually, Emily loves America. Emily saves America, pardon me, said when she was fighting with somebody about how little their engagement ring was during this weekend, how do you guys expect to have a house, land, and multiple kids? Be for real. Sorry, I'm MIA. I'm in the Hamptons. So are conservatives not allowed to be in the Hamptons without getting slaughtered? Or is it specifically conservative influencers? You said that it wasn't a pro-Israel event, so I guess there's no Israel angle here, which does, of course, there's tons of Zionists in the Hamptons, Bill Ackman among them. So I don't understand. You couldn't post that you were in the Hamptons because you...
A lot of Zionists in Hamptons. What do you think, guys? I don't know about this, but please let me know if you have any info about this, okay? I don't know about Hamptons and Zionists there.
We're going to get killed. How? I need more information there because that's just silly. And I also love the context of him doing this on PragerU's platform. I obviously worked for PragerU. I know Marissa Straight. I am looking at Marissa Straight right there, a little PR operation to address the points without actually addressing the points and to make it seem like it was nothing. And that's not the reality. Marissa has always been open about the fact that she worked for the IDF intelligence. And like I said, you could sense there was a PR panic when people started speaking about the weekend. I told you guys the truth. That's it. Okay. I don't like the fact that Charlie was literally facing financial threats over his speech, the thing that mattered most to him, right? Fighting for free speech. Even if you disagreed with somebody, you got to make sure that they have a right to express their viewpoints. And what happened to me a year earlier seemed to be happening to him 1 year later. Another thing that I really do not like, and it is bothering me and is eating at me, is the fact that Turning Point will not release the footage, okay? I don't understand it. Every excuse that I have been handed for why they won't release it makes no sense to me. If you are under pressure, if people are starting to look at you funny as an organization, if they're thinking that, whether rightfully or wrongfully, if they are suspecting because they see this footage of someone quickly remove the SD cards, that you guys had something to do with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you quite literally have footage that in theory should vindicate yourself, why wouldn't you release it?
Guys, one more thing. Do you know that Candace actually reached out to a guy that actually took down the camera at the back of Charlie Kirk during the event, during the assassination day, after Charlie Kirk was assassinated? One guy literally just took a chair and stood on a chair and took down the camera. The thing is, like, she reached out to the guy and asked, why do you actually, took down the camera, like, literally after the assassination? The guy, the thing about the reason was, like, because he wants to secure the footage, the SD card, because who knows, it will be stolen. So now the point is, I think no matter the situation, the circumstance during this assassination, I don't think you should have dismantled the camera, taken down the camera, because the first thing comes into your mind should be, what if you are a good guy, you'll be thinking, like, when police come or when the people of the investigation come, they'll be looking at the SD card, the footage of the camera, what happens to the victim, right? Why at first point you think about you have to secure the footage, the SD card? Why? And if let's just say you were worried about people taking the SD card, but why not you just stand beside the tent and just look at the camera to see if someone steals the camera? If let's say someone wants to steal the camera, you just block him. Say, no, people just get, one guy just got assassinated, you have to chill down, don't take down the camera. Police or FBI or investigation people will have a look on the SD card, on the footage. First, I thought it was like a good reason to say, I want to secure the SD card, the memory, the footage, to avert people from stealing the footage or the SD card. Why not you just think about investigation people need it, right? Who are you to decide to take down, What do you think, guys? Let me know down in the comment section. I would like to know what you think about it. Really.
Think about that. It's just in your own capacity. If somebody is saying you are guilty of anything, if they're like, Candace, you are absolutely guilty of breaking into my car, and I'm like, I have a camera right here that shows that I did not break into your car. Would it make sense if I was like, but I'm not going to release that?
If your eyes change color in the sun, you're
Come on, this ad again. Come on. Never broken a single... Hold on, I have to repeat this word.
That I did not break my car, and anything. If they're like, Candace, you are absolutely guilty.
Hold on.
Should vindicate yourself. Why wouldn't you release it? Think about that. just in your own capacity. If somebody is saying you are guilty of anything, if they're like, Candace, you are absolutely guilty of breaking into my car. And I'm like, I have a camera right here that shows that I did not break into your car. Would it make sense if I was like, but I'm not going to release that? I'm
Nah,
not going to release that.
that's the thing about it. If you are not guilty, but then why you don't want to show it? Like, the thing about when you don't show the thing, it means you have connected yourself to the things, to the circumstance, to the situation that was happening. Does it make sense, guys? It's impossible. Like, if you are not guilty, why don't you just show it? Why? I mean, what's the reason for you to hide the footage?
Because it's not right. It's not right for me to release. What?
Come on, man.
It makes no sense. I don't understand why they would not release this. The idea that it's because, well, the feds are saying the feds cannot arrest you. Last I checked, the feds cannot bring charges against you for releasing footage that you own. And since when do we trust the feds? Certainly Charlie didn't. He didn't believe we were getting the truth about the Epstein files and things of that nature. So I don't accept that. That said, I also want to be clear that it doesn't mean that every single person that is continuing on in the organization is guilty of murder. I mean, I think we want answers, but we shouldn't be like, this person's definitely a murderer because they're not providing the answers. I've been speaking and I've been seeing a lot of vitriol that's been thrown at Andrew Colvette's way because he is doing press. He is carrying on Charlie Kirk's show. He was already seated on Charlie Kirk's show. He was already there. And I was being genuine when I said he's under a lot of pressure. There's no question. He's the spokesperson for Turning Point USA, and he's grieving somebody that he knows and who was a very close, if not one of his best friends. He saw every day doing the Charlie Kirk show, and he's still got to deal with the same donors that Charlie was dealing with. I mean, it's a lot going on, and until we have all the facts in front of us, until we actually see the footage, I think we should be careful in just thinking that everybody is guilty of something. I want you guys to also, though, be conscious of the lies that we are being told by the federal government, because that feels extremely guilty to me. We haven't received any updates whatsoever on the raid that took place of Lance's house where Tyler Robinson was living at the time of this crime. No update whatsoever on Lance. He just completely fell to the wayside, so forget it.
One more thing about Lance. Lance is the romantic partner of Tyler Robinson. Like, allegedly, the FBI raided the house, Lance's house, but he was released after that. After sometimes. But the thing is, like, Candace was saying that there was no information about Lance. Why was he released so fast when Tyler Robinson was the suspect? It just logic that if you think about it, Tyler Robinson was the suspect. How do you get information about Tyler Robinson? Perhaps it's going to be his family or his romantic partner, which is Lance, but Lance was released. No, it's not about. I think Lance was doing something wrong, but let's just say it this way. Because this whole thing is very sketchy, It's crazy. It's not about one. For me, in my opinion, I don't think it's one guy work. Like, one guy just climbs up the rooftop and just shoot and go back home and go into a jail. I think it's more complicated. More people were involving in this incident, and this is the crazy stuff. It's about good and evil, the battle between good and evil. So I think they have, feds, FBI wasn't actually telling us about Lance much or more than what we need, more than what they have provided. It's crazy. Now we know Lance is a romantic partner of Tyler Robinson. And what else? What else do you know? I think I don't know whether he was a deep web guy. I mean, person. I don't know. I don't know whether it's Tyler or Lance, but it's just this thing that we know, you know, just this thing. So please, we are being controlled by the higher power, guys. By the higher power. This is society, you know, societal issue, man. Let's go.
Forget asking any questions about Lance. And my instinct has always been that the feds injected themselves immediately into this case because they were staging a cover-up. And now I feel as though we can almost establish that as a fact when I tell you something else that happened here, my next point. So as you know, I have been positively obsessed with who killed Charlie Kirk because he was my friend. He was actually my friend. Everyone else who could eulogize all they want. Some of it felt a little cheap and fake and gay, but for me, this is real. So I had been hunting down all of the videos, all of the footage, and wanted to go back to ground zero, as we did yesterday, of the initial videos that went viral on social media and on X on the day that Charlie was assassinated. And it occurred to me that I forgot about one video. Actually, the only video that exists of the shooter sprinting across the rooftop a mere seconds after the shot was fired. Now, you probably recall that video in the back of your mind. You remember that video that was going viral of him seen running across the roof. Well, I'm about to show it to you in a much clearer quality than you have ever seen it, a higher quality than you have ever seen that video. Remember, before I show it to you, just to tee this up, it is just a couple of seconds after the sound of a shot rang out. Let's watch this together.
Есть всего 3 преграды на пути к вашему свободному и уверенному китайскому. Меня зовут Фаина Ли. Уже больше 15 лет я помогаю русской...
And we're going to just cover that. It kind of looks like he's got something trailing behind him too. Maybe that's the towel that we've been told about. We can play that again as you watch this. Now let me tell you how I tracked down this footage. It took me all of 2 hours to track down this footage, to get the name of the person who had filmed the footage. And from there, after messaging someone on Twitter, they said, I got the footage from this person. This is the person that shot it. And he's willing to speak to you. I get in touch with this individual. Okay, very quickly. This all transpired in a couple of hours. And you will never guess what it is that he told me. He told me that neither the feds nor the local police had ever reached out to him. Never. I'm sorry, what? You have one of 2 people who have a recording of the shooter at all, right? At all. And the feds were simply not interested, as they were executing this manhunt, of reaching out to the individual who had footage of him running across the roof. How could that be? Why? Why would that be? Somebody explain to me, make it make sense for me. Maybe in the fog and the chaos, sure. But at no point did they go, hey, I see this really grainy image that's gone viral on Twitter. Maybe I should reach out to the person that made it go viral and see if I can track down that person so I can get clear data, meaning the metadata that exists, which will tell you the exact second that the person was running to make sure it lines up with my federal timeline that I must be creating. If little old Candace is doing it, then I'm sure the feds at the top are definitely creating a second-by-second timeline just like I am. But no, they never reached out to him. Now I'll tell you what else I discovered, because a lot is going on. And we similarly, by the way, reached out to the person who shot the footage and said somebody is on the roof. We spoke about that earlier this week. He told us the exact same thing. He says he walked in and gave the footage to the Orem Police Department, okay? Nobody, and they said, we were overwhelmed on that day one, which makes sense. Everybody contacting, calling, someone says, I have this. So it makes sense that he would be on the offense and getting them the footage. But the feds never reached out to him until the 15th. After Governor Cox said the investigation was over and they had the guy, the feds reached out to him and said, hey, you're the one who shot that footage. Yeah. Did you make a police report? He said, yeah, I did. And, oh, really? We didn't know that. What do you mean you didn't know that? that this is the first time the federal government on the 15th decided to reach out to the other person who saw the person climbing the roof. I saw the person getting into the shooting position. You never reached out to him until September 15th. Yeah, my friends, that looks to me like a cover up. Not like you're trying to get to the bottom of something. Not with the amount of money that the feds have. You can't tell me that they did not reach out to these two individuals. It makes entirely no sense. There's another piece of this that is getting quite interesting. And I will say that this next piece that I have is in large part thanks to a multitude of leaks that are coming out of Turning Point USA. Now, right away, you might ask, why is that happening? Well, I can tell you in my experience, political organizations sometimes don't recognize that they are not like corporate organizations. And what I mean by that is not whether or not the organization is a corporate, but rather sometimes they get the wrong idea that they can sort of do things that people can do on Wall Street, right? Like if a CEO steps down from Wendy's, you can just replace that person as another CEO and nobody cares. If you're buying chicken nuggets from Wendy's, you don't really care who the CEO is. Doesn't really work like that with political organizations, right? When it comes to politics, people get behind someone because they believe in that individual's ideas, right? You can't just play a swapsy all the time or think it's just going to go on and you're still going to have that same energy behind you. And so obviously this is a terrible situation and Charlie is gone. But with people not getting answers, right? With people that are working at Turning Point USA not feeling like, okay, are we as an organization fighting? Are we going to speak about the things that Charlie cared about? Are we going to call out the things that we feel are wrong here? They're not wanting to get behind that. They feel that the organization is now being motivated just by money and that this company's priorities have somewhat shifted and that really how people on the outside that are looking in are going, what's going on here? Why are people not more rattled by the lies that are being told? Actually, I think if Charlie were here, he'd be talking about the weird things that were being told about this story, right? Ironically. And so many people have reached out and they spoke about the finances at Turning Point USA. And, I'm not exactly a forensic accountant, but I know that other journalists got really interested in this angle who were similarly receiving leaks and have pushed this off to forensic accountants. And some of the stuff is getting very interesting. But I did want to show you guys this because I think this proves what we have been hearing. It's at least a starting point. An insider who said that they were there and present when Charlie had expressed some concerns about where the money was going. And leading up to that moment, Charlie had by and large completely removed himself outside of the organ of fundraising, which is to say that it wasn't something that he necessarily had his finger on. Of course, he always would show up for top donor meetings. He is the face of the company. But in terms of the accounting specifics, he trusted his lieutenants. Of course, something that big, you're clearing $100 million a year, you got to have lieutenants and you have to trust those lieutenants. And of course, sometimes those leaders don't like one another. That's all normal. But then there arrived a moment when Charlie felt that the money was disappearing. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly here, but I think we have some proof that shows that. And the excuses that he was being given for the money disappearing wasn't adding up for Charlie. Said another way, the math wasn't mathing, okay? He felt that, again, according to sources, that the company was burning through cash too quickly. And Charlie set about finding out why and how this was happening. So on September 2nd, which is, of course, just 1 week before he lost his life, Charlie surprised the company by announcing that he was putting together a Doge department. Yes, a department of government efficiency like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy had set out to do. Trump won. They got behind him, right? They said, hey, there's a lot of pork. We don't know where this money is going. People are just accepting checks. Again, this is the whole purpose of the Department of Doge. You put us in there and we're going to figure out how all of these bureaucrats are just wasting tax dollars. Really kind of a nice way of saying we're going to conduct an audit of the government, right? That's the only way to look at what Doge was. It's an audit and then you cut the fat and you see where the money's actually going. Don't listen to me, by the way, because we can read Charlie in his own words. This was a internal memo that went out, signed off by Charlie on September 2nd.
What's better after 50, Wen? Gym or Tai Chi?
One builds ego, the other.
I'm going to skip to the relevant portions. He's first and foremost announcing that Dear Team America, effective immediately, again, September 2nd, Justin Strife is taking on a new elevated role with Turning Point USA as its COO. Since joining TPUSA in 2020, Justin has led Turning Point's fundraising division and in more recent years has been involved in some organizational operations, filling the COO role in many ways, but now officially taking on the title and expanded responsibilities. Now we're going to jump to that last big paragraph. He writes, in this role, I have empowered Justin, among other priorities, to engage in an organizational-wide Doge effort. Justin will be assembling a small team to assist in this effort, which is focused on Turning Point USA, 1, becoming more efficient, 2, becoming more cost-effective, 3, unifying organizational success around company-wide metrics and goals, and 4, reshaping company culture. I expect many positive changes to come from this forthcoming initiative and Justin's expanded role. Please join me in congratulating Justin on this new role with the organization. So I felt that with all of the rumors that I'm hearing, to see that Charlie was essentially putting together a small team to begin looking at money and ways to be more quote unquote efficient, it's looking like that's relevant, that all of these tips that we are receiving from insiders is accurate. And what we're understanding is that there were a lot of contractors and people essentially who were taking money both ways, who were bringing in money and cutting deals. Said simply, the money was looking funny, okay? And Charlie set out to determine why, which means that others should maybe set out to determine why. Is this department still going? And like I said to you, others are setting out to determine why. There are journalists, forensic accountants that have been hired, and what I have been shown, the preliminary findings are quite astonishing, okay? And I will say this, my sources at Turning Point said something that I found to be crucial, interesting. They said that Charlie wasn't just concerned about where the money was going, but also where the money was coming from.
Wow.
Where the money was coming from. What are we to make of that?
Wow.
Okay. What are we to make of that? What does that mean? Either speaking about companies that were kind of flooding the zone with money so that they could have more influence, but they had questions about those companies. It sounds like there were people who were effectively double agents, making money on commissions on both sides of a contract. I've seen a lot, and I'm going to allow the reports to come out next week that people who have really seized upon that and are looking at things. And I think a lot's going to be revealed, like I said, as it should. We want to know everything. We want to know absolutely everything. I'm going to tell you guys a bit more, as well as responding to a lot of what I think are just unfair criticisms of people that are attacking Erica. And I'll tell you why I feel that those criticisms are unfair. But first, I want to throw it to Riverbend Ranch. I told you I met the CEO of this company when I was with Charlie years ago, and we went out to meet him. Wonderful person. Everyone wanted to do something to try and heal. Remember Charlie, and my friends at Riverbend Ranch put together the following tribute to honor him.
We pay tribute to Charlie Kirk, and we celebrate the tremendous good he did in his life. Charlie courageously advocated for the sacred principles of freedom, constructive discourse, truth, family values, and common sense. He taught with humor and wisdom, and backed up his beliefs with data and facts. He set a powerful example of reaching out and talking to those who disagreed with him. We mourn his passing, but what he taught us continues to resonate with even more power.
A message from all of us at Riverbend Ranch.
Rigged, and if you're bird, that's exactly competing and
let's just skip all these advertisements.
Obviously, views on hundreds of thousands out. PDS. Okay, .com/Candace. PDS.com/Candace. Okay, I want to at first address, because I've received so many emails. Candace, have you seen this? Have you watched this? And it is Range Day Bro on YouTube. And he had, the video was just absolutely viral. It's got 6 million views. And by the way, I am so happy that it's got 6 million views. Everybody investigating this is exactly what we need. And nobody is going to be perfect. We're going to get things wrong. And we can only work with the information that's that's been given to us. And for whatever reason, it's very limited. So every time
By the way, I just reacted to Range Day Bros analysis video about assassination of Charlie Kirk. Please have a look. It was my previous live. So please go to my live tab and you can see it. I can put the link down in the description after this live, okay? So please check it out.
Anything that I'm debunking here is just because I want to help focus his investigation. But so he presents an argument that you can see a muzzle flash, and there is one element of his video where he shows what he believes to be blood splatter as an entry point on Charlie's neck. So we can watch that, take a listen.
And in that video, you can see the same, what appears to be the bullet coming down, and it does line up with the actual gunshot itself.
Oh.
Hi there. Need enamel pin printing. Precious is here for you.
So apparently when the you heard the gunshot, and it was when the flash came out.
Video was created by a friend of mine who is a Marine. You'll see him here at the end. This is the angle he is showing the shot coming from, showing where Charlie was sitting, and the angle of the shot, which will correspond with this video here, which unfortunately we will blur out Charlie's face, but we will show what is necessary to prove that this was an entry and exit wound. So you'll see him circle the highlighted area right there, and you'll see the exit wound corresponding after, split second after, as it would from an entry and exit wound. So in this footage, you can clearly see that Charlie is shot from his back right, and there is blood splatter coming out of the entry wound.
Okay. So what I can immediately help with, because I have so much footage and clearer footage of that, is that's actually not blood splatter. And I was very surprised by this. It's his necklace. That is his necklace. And it was one of the things that struck me as odd. And I saw the back footage, and then I have clear footage from the front, and the necklace goes first. And if I'm looking at it, it looks like it breaks from here, and then it comes up and it whips up. That is Charlie's necklace chain. So I hope that sort of helps focus that. And I don't know if that helps change your opinion at all, but I wanted to add that. The second thing is I wanted to show you a photo, a different angle of where that flash that he is looking at came from. Because the thing that I don't understand is that particular window doesn't open. So if you're saying it's inside, and I might be wrong, so you can see, and I hope I have this right. If I'm wrong, please let me know, and I will adjust it immediately. But that window is from that zone, which they call like the flag hall, which is where that person actually shot the footage. He's on the other side of it, where we saw the person running across the roof. That's basically above the underpass. And so you can see from this angle that those windows, I don't know if we have a more forward picture of that, Skylar. If we don't, it's okay. But from everything that I could see, those windows don't open. So if it's coming from inside, if that's where you're saying, and I had that location correctly, again, I'm happy to update this if I'm wrong, then we should see broken glass. So let me know if I'm right about that. I will say there was another piece, and this part I have not been able to debunk, but I am sending someone there to get me similar footage, which is when you discuss a suspicious looking bush. So I will let Range Day Bro present that theory. Take a listen.
I want to take a look at this photo next. This guy's talking about this bush up here in the top left of this photo, and he zooms in on it, and he's stating that it does look suspicious. It does look suspicious. It looks like there is a person right here, and it looks like there is a rifle right here that the person is holding. A hand here, support hand, sort of very blurry image, but you can clearly make out that this is not just a bush. This is a human skin tone right here, and this correlates with a human head and hair, and a rifle in the exact kind of crucifix shape of an AR-15 with an optic on it mounted up.
So what I can say, and I'm looking at my minute-to-minute text messages because I sent somebody there on the ground to get me pictures of that bush today, and I agree with you. In the smaller, in the photos that I'm looking at today, the bush, you can kind of see through it. And in the image that you have, granted, it is grainy, it doesn't seem like you can see through it. So I am interested in that, and I am prodding that narrative, and I will let you know what I come up with. Anyways, again, the point of me doing that was just to help further direct your theories. Everybody is coming out with ideas, and I think that's great until the feds answer our questions, until we see more footage of what took place that day.
This is a human skin tone right here, and top left of this photo, and he zooms in on it, and he's stating that it does look
coming out with ideas, and I think that's great. Until the feds answer our questions, until we see more footage of what took place that day, all of us need to stay on top of it, because we all sense that something is very wrong and we are not getting the truth. One more thing that I'd like to share with you guys. You will recall yesterday during the comment section, we got a tip, a young woman that said that that doorbell footage was intentionally presented to the public only partially, and that the reality is that there was more footage which showed the person that they allege is Tyler Robinson walking with a woman who they don't know who that is, and that he changes clothes. So I'm not sure if there was more footage on the side of the house. There's another angle, but there was allegedly footage of Tyler changing clothes, and he is with an unidentified woman. What I will say is I have established connection with that individual, and it's a solid lead, and it's only going to get more interesting in terms of who is involved in that cover-up locally, like a Utah person involved in that cover-up, which is another piece of this puzzle that I find to be fascinating. I will have more for you guys next week as we continue this. I always want to make sure that we give people an opportunity to respond and to answer what it is that we are putting out there, and making sure that our reports are accurate. And I will have more for you on that next week. I do also want to address people who are inundating me speaking about Erica Kirk. And I think the reason why this was catalyzed was because of a fundraising email and text messages went out, and people found it to be distasteful and like a fundraising off of his death. Okay, first and foremost, the reason why I said, and I meant it genuinely, was to pray for Erica a couple of days ago. And I said she is stepping into a role as CEO and the chairman of a company that got bigger than Charlie, by everything that I am understanding, and just having been there, I saw it happening, and a company that she's going to have to learn in 4 seconds how this whole thing's. It is a...
Это сделала нейросеть. А деньги получила моя ученица Ольга. Она тратит на заказы максимум...
Machine, okay? Those emails that you saw or that was not written by Erica Kirk. That will be an entire department. And these are emails when you fundraise. I've had fundraising emails go out with my face and my name on them. They are not authored by Erica Kirk. And I want you guys to know that, right? I just think it's like, I don't know, it just feels so unfair to me to assign the amount of pressure that is on her right now. She has not come out and said anything to me that makes her suspicious, because I understand how that organ works, and I understand how people, when they are motivated by money, how they don't even think about these things. It can be so gross. I mean, I have really gotten into arguments with people when I felt that they were using my face and representing things, and I was getting pushback from the public, and I'm like, I would have never done this. I would have never made that decision. And yet I'm going to be the person that gets all the flack for the decision that you made. I've had those arguments. And so when I see this go out, irrespective of how you feel, you should know that those decisions are not made by Erica. That's what it means to step into a company of that size and that scale. Okay. Their focus is going to be something different. And she has had, I think, a tremendous amount of grace in the speech that she gave, which I felt was very inspiring. And we should similarly have grace, give her time to get her, first and foremost, the adjustment in her life. She's a mother, first and foremost, right? This is what she was doing. She was a mom, and Charlie was on the road, and these were Charlie's concerns. You know, men carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they were following that. This was a faithful couple. This is a woman who consulted a priest and prayed when she felt that somebody had put a hex on her husband. And I just think everyone is being a little unfair by trying to assign so much ill will towards someone who hasn't done anything to warrant that. And I would have been the first person. If I felt that anything was there, I would have said something. Truly, in every capacity. And of course, I'm not in their marriage, but I know that Charlie was very happy with Erica. And I know that Erica was a reason. She was, pushing Charlie, as women do, to really think through his ideas and think through what it was that he believed in one way or the other. And by and large, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I had this relationship that I had with Charlie, that I had with Erica, of course, because neither he or I were married when we were hitting the road together. But she made him happy. And I just want you guys to know that. And so when you're putting stuff out there, just imagine that you're in her shoes. Imagine the size and the scale of that company, And imagine that on top of everything, you've got people that are digging into every layer of your life and not necessarily getting everything right. I can't stop reading conspiracies about me and my husband. I've read that my husband is Jewish. I've read that my husband is a Freemason. I read that our marriage is fake and staged. And I've read that I'm funded by Russia. I'm funded by Qatar. I'm funded by Andrew Tate, because Andrew Tate is also from the UK. And my husband knew him before he met me, which means absolutely nothing. I mean, it never stops. And to be thrown into fame, I think, is very difficult when you're not pursuing it yourself, and to be thrown in such a horrific way, it just can't be fun. So I'm just reminding us all to just have a little bit of grace is all. Anyways, you guys, before I get into more of your comments, I want to tell you about Just Thrive, because the biggest health secret.
All right, guys. So basically this episode just ends. And what do you think, guys? Okay, first of all, I want to address something. I've seen people like attacking Erica, but honestly, guys, please take a moment, relax, don't attack Erica, okay? She just lost her husband, okay? She has to take care of 2 kids, 1-year-old and 3 years old. So don't attack Erica, please, guys. Erica was a faithful wife to Charlie. Nowadays, if you have to ask me, how can we find this kind of faithful woman? It's very hard. I'm telling you guys, nowadays, the modern world is crazy. Everything is so materialistic. It's very hard, guys. It's really hard. Please stop attacking Erica, okay, guys? So please let me know what you think in the comment section. I would like to know your opinion and what videos should I react to next. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Subscribe to my channel and have a nice day. Bye-bye.